Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. And today's video has been inspired by one of my subscribers, Wendy, who said that everyone said, oh, you should make your own compost, but she's not entirely sure how to go about it. So that's what today's video is going to be. I'm going to show you how I make my own homemade compost. So I'll just start off by explaining the difference between what the majority of us call compost, which is sold in sacks at Home Depots, B&Q, places like that. That isn't exactly compost, even though they call it multi-purpose compost. It's a growing medium which we buy. It's being produced by a company. There's research and development gone into it. If you're lucky, it's got a bit of food in it already. You tip it straight into your container, plant your plants in, and off you go. And after about 6 months, when you think the plants have eaten all of the nutrients out of that multi-purpose compost, you might put your own homemade compost around the top and then let the rain do its business and sort of draw those nutrients down into the soil and into the roots. So that's great. So the difference between that and your homemade compost is that your homemade compost is just pure nutrition. It's like a concentrated nutrition. So very, very good for your plants, but far too rich to plant plants directly into it. You wouldn't put your homemade compost in a tub by itself and plant your plants in. I don't know what would happen to it, but it would just be far too powerful a medium to grow plants in. You add that to your garden soil. So if you're planting particularly hungry plants like clematis or sweet peas or roses, you might dig your hole in your garden and then you would mix it with a bit of your homemade compost, even put a bit of neat compost in the bottom, very bottom of the hole, put your new plant in and fill it back in with the mixed compost and garden soil. So your homemade compost is made up entirely of organic matter, either scraps from your kitchen or green from your garden. So from your kitchen you might have vegetable peelings, old fruit, that kind of thing. No cooked food. You wouldn't, some people put everything in their compost. I don't put anything cooked in, no meat scraps, no nothing that would attract vermin. So it's all just uncooked, natural, organic matter. From your garden, you would have maybe in the spring when you're cutting your soft foliage back, put that in. I say soft because if you put twiggy things in, they don't compost down. They might in a big commercial composting venue where the heat builds up to such an intense state that those twiggy stems would compost down, but not in your ordinary garden compost. It doesn't reach the right heat. You can put old leaves in, anything like that. In the summer, you know, you've got all your grass cuttings, you've got your hedge trimmings, so it's unlimited. Added to all of this organic greenery, you need carbon, and carbon is anything organic that comes from a tree. So envelopes, not shiny envelopes, newspapers, cardboard boxes, the paper shredded packaging that comes in the cardboard box. In your kitchen you would have toilet roll holders, you would have kitchen roll holders. Anything like that goes into your composting. And then your compost, to make good compost, you need air. So if you have got in a compost bin, I usually stab holes through the plastic, just get as much air into the composting bin as possible. It needs moisture and then it needs heat. So usually they come with a lid. Just a word of warning before we go to the compost bin. There is this stuff sliding down the side of my compost bin. I didn't realize how disgusting it looked until I started putting the video through the editor. It's nothing disgusting. It is in fact sawdust, because we had a tree surgeon here doing some work. The sawdust fell on the composting bin and then it froze hard and then it snowed for a week. So what you're seeing sort of spilling down the side of the composting bin is nothing but sawdust that has been frozen and then defrosted. And I should have washed it off, but I really didn't realize how bad it looked. So let's go to the composting bin. So here we are at the compost bin. I'll show you what it looks like in there. So I just tip everything in the top, and then whenever I need compost, I rake it out of that hole at the bottom there. So because I've got some kitchen scraps there, and they're on some leaves and bits of cardboard and stuff like that, I make my compost a bit like a lasagna. It's very layered. So because you can imagine it would be very hard to get a rake in there and stir it round, I just make it like lasagna, and in this one it works fine. I don't have to rake it round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some carbon on the top of there, a layer of carbon. And carbon is anything organic like that, anything made out of paper, but not shiny wrapping paper or magazines or anything. And I just dump that in like that. I usually have old cardboard lying around here, that's why it's soggy, and the soggier the better really, because you do want moisture in there. If for any reason you're looking, it looks very dry, just put a watering can of water in. Right, so that will do for the carbon. And then the next thing that I tip in is all my kitchen waste. So I'm just going to show you. So there's some fruit, there's vegetable peelings, there is kitchen roll, but it hasn't mopped up any sort of cooked food or anything nasty in the kitchen. That's just water on there. Obviously toilet roll holders, kitchen roll holders, they're your carbon. So it's already got a mix of carbon and green. There's eggshells, I put them in. They never compost down, but it gives a nice crumbly texture. And you just tip them on the top. But if you're only one person, you might be thinking, well, is it worth it? Could I possibly generate this much green waste? And the answer is yes, you can. Every little helps. I have this bread crock, which I keep on my kitchen bench. It has a lid, and then it just stands there, and every day we put any scraps of vegetable peeling or any salad or anything like that, but nothing cooked. So I've got some little oranges that I passed the sell-by date, and some questionable grapes, some apple peel, and then egg boxes. Take the sticky label off. I don't think it'd be the end of the world if it went in the compost, but I'll take the label off. And then just to speed the process up, I just rip the egg boxes up and put them in my bread crock here. It just means that the carbon breaks down quicker. And that goes in, even the grape stalks, they'll probably not break down very well, but and that's it. And then everything else goes in here in the rubbish bin. So kitchen paper, nothing with like a cleaning product on, or if you've mopped up grease or anything like that, nothing like that. You don't want anything going into your composting bin that would attract vermin. And that's it. It's stayed there for years and nobody knows that it's composting, and we probably fill that up Well, when the family's all here, it fills up very quickly. You know, you just have to do a breakfast and then a cooked dinner with vegetables, and that fills right up. But on a day-to-day basis, probably every 2 days it'll be full. You can put envelopes in their carbon, or you would just take the sticky label off the top and then the paper, rip that up, and that goes in. I haven't got one, but if you get any of the white envelopes with the little bit of cellophane where the address shines through, take the cellophane off, take the sticky label off, and then just rip that up and put that in. Right, and then obviously in there as well, if I'm cutting back a plant, say you're cutting back a penstemon or something like that, then those soft leaves would go in. But if you're doing a general weed, I don't put that in here. I put that in my green garden waste because I don't want weeds growing in here. And then because I've got a nice mix of, there's old grapes there, there's sprout leaves, there's tea bags, but I haven't poured milk into the cup with the tea bags. That's just basic tea bag there. They're fine. Banana peelings for your potassium, that's great. And then once that's in, I just layer it up with another layer of carbon. And I have sort of family who, if they get anything delivered in a cardboard box, they always keep it. At one time I would put newspapers in, but we don't get newspapers now. Right, so this is some of the soft green foliage that I was talking about that you can cut down and put in your composting bin. If you've got time, you can chop it up quite small, but I find if you just put it in like this, it's absolutely fine. So there's a video which I produced about 2 weeks ago showing, I'll just wait until this car goes past. Yes, showing these, a video showing these daisies, and they were so beautiful and fresh, and I said I think they'll just keep going till the first frost, and they did. And then we got all that bad weather, so I'm just taking it down there to the foliage at the bottom. And this will go on top of that thick layer of cardboard that I've put to make that sort of, give that lasagne effect. And it just saves a whole lot of stirring. This daisy is on the path out the front of my house, so when it falls over, it actually falls onto the pathway where people walk with their pushchairs and their dogs and things, so it's best to get this up. Actually, the daisies in my garden usually get left. Right, so yes, all of this is going to go into that composting bin now. So that's what we left the other day. All this brown cardboard has sort of started to just decompose there already, and I've put a few more kitchen scraps on the top. So all that cardboard that I put in the other day has started to decompose, and the level's gone down already. So now I'm just going to put that in. And I'll show you this in a couple of weeks' time. This will be black and decomposing, and it will have sunk down again. And it probably takes about a year for your first compost to get from this level down to the bottom where you can use it. But once it starts in rotation, you just keep scooping it out the bottom there and filling it up at the top. That's it. Keep the heat in. Right, so that was the old compost bin, which I've had for years. This is the new one, which is a year old. Um, and this one has, just see where the camera's pointing. Yes, so it has a tube, a vent that goes right through the middle and air goes in there. And then you unclip it there and you can rotate it. I'm just going to open this up. This midsummer was right to the top and I haven't taken any compost out of this. So it's rotted right down. Lovely, lovely and crumbly. I think the only difference is going to be between this compost. Now, there's a little weed. Get rid of him. This is the air vent I was telling you about. It's got holes all the way along because you do need air in your compost. You need it to keep moving if possible, but you need air in as well. So if we compare that, oh, it has got worms in. That's what I was going to say. The only thing that difference it would be is how would worms get in? But they obviously have. And these are composting worms. They're different to your earthworm. They're red. So I'm very pleased with that. There we go. Oh yeah. And you just get it going and tumble it like that. You have to be strong. And this was just full of all the things that we've seen in the other composting and garden waste. And you can imagine how good a tumble that gets. And then you bring it back up to the top and you put the lock on and it locks it. Yeah, lovely. Take the compost off the middle there. But I kid you not, that was full to the top. I have to say, I don't think I would have been able to put that together by myself. It came in a kit form. If you can buy it ready assembled, then fine. But it looks very complicated putting it together. But now that it's in situ, that it's absolutely fine. What I would say, if you are, say, just a single person and you think, well, I can't possibly generate that much green waste, I would say everything helps. And I bet you'll be amazed at how much green waste you do generate. And the other thing to remember is that you don't need a shop bought plastic compost bin to make compost. They're quite a relatively new thing. I mean, my father-in-law had just an area at the back of the garden where I think he put like a little wooden fence around, and he had an open composting area for decades. So yes, any little area you can fence it in, you can make one out of wooden pallets or whatever, or you can just have it freestanding and just make a pile in the corner of the garden. But give it a go, it's well worth it. So that's it for today. That's how I make my compost. I will do another video where I show you how I use the compost and my leaf mould, because I'm going to get some bark delivered and I'm going to bark the garden. That's the plan anyway. So until next time, bye.